Yo, yo, YouTube. All right, thanks to my subscribers. Speculation video, okay, but I want to point out this picture. Found it today on the Drudge Report. There was not a picture associated with the headline, so I read the headline. Volcano appears to be erupting into the Milky Way in this stunning photo. All right, and here's the picture. And I was kind of surprised because I wouldn't have described it as that. I mean, yeah, I would have definitely noticed the Milky Way and thought that was a pretty cool backdrop there. But I don't think I ever would have described it as it looking like the volcano was erupting into the Milky Way. So me, like I said again, speculation, I think they're kind of drawing special attention to this picture because I think we're coming on the end of the cycle, which would bring all this earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and the destruction and chaos that comes at the end of the cycle. You know, it's just a fact of life. What goes up must come down. And you've just got, some ruling people taking orders from the darkness, powers and principalities, not flesh and blood, right? So they're taking orders, and all they're using this stuff is just to control everybody and make a buck off it. That's it. They don't want people knowing that the level of destruction that it's happened before can happen and will happen again and a lot sooner than what everybody thinks. And they want to make a buck off it. They want to keep everybody controlled. So they call this stuff myth or just stories, when in fact it's reality, and there's plenty of proof. You just have to connect the dots yourself using your own discernment and your own spiritual guidance. Because you're never gonna have some book that you can go in the public library that's government sponsored and taught us legitimate education that says, yeah, this stuff happened before and it's going to happen again, and it's just a fact of life. It's what happens in this place. It's what this reality is, a cycle. One big snake eating its tail, one big show of a dog chasing its tail. That's all it is. So anyway, back to the picture here. Both of these things represent destruction to me because the end/beginning of a cycle. The Milky Way is called the Great Rift. Rift means crack. So this thing is literally called the Great Crack. And I do think we live inside a firmament or a dome or a glass case or a crystal case or an energy field or a magnetosphere, whatever the case may be. I think we're surrounded by something. And I do think that in the book of Genesis, the windows of heaven were opened and the waters from above came down. I think this is the crack. I think this is where the waters came from. And if that's real and this isn't one big holographic projection, and if that's correct, then that tells us right now that we are stationary. It's the firmament that spins around us because this thing rolls by every night. So the volcanoes, I think, are connected to the sun inside the earth because there's a sun outside for nature and there's a sun, S-O-N, Jesus of Nazareth, inside of each one of us for spirit. So I think there's also a sun in the earth because something has to be heating up the lava. And whenever these things go off, destruction, all sorts of the end/beginning of a cycle, everything changes. And I believe in Atlantis. I think that was a real thing. Atlantis was a mid-Atlantic continent that suddenly sunk into the ocean. A massive earthquake shook the volcanic island, and boom. Atlantis, 1600 BC, destroyed by a volcanic eruption. I think it was a real place. Then I think this really happened. Hitler, pretty smart guy. At least it seems like anyway. Big into the occult. He was even put into power by occultists. He was put into power by the Tool Society, THULE, even though it's all the same group, but I'm just saying on paper. He was put into power by this THULE, Secret Occult Society. So, this guy Hitler spent a lot of time studying this shit, and obviously he believed in it enough to send his buddies down for an expedition to check the area out. So, here's a guy, Hitler, pretty driven, trying to create this master race. I don't think he'd be taking time out for little fun field trips if they were complete nonsense. But yeah, and with these volcanoes, I mean, isn't it kind of funny how, it looks like a mushroom cloud or a nuclear explosion? It's all the same thing, but it just looks like one big tree, like your brain tree or the tree of life or the trees of good and evil or the tree of knowledge. It's just all one big tree. So we got a lot of stuff between, the eclipse in August over the United States and the Revelation 12 sign on 9/23 and the Cassini thing on 9/15, and we've had the quote-unquote rare blue auroras come back, and then we've had this Meet Steve, a most peculiar aurora, an aurora called Steve, strange sky phenomenon this year. And that's the same time that the Facebook killer was supposedly running around. His name was Steve Stevens, so I don't think that's by any coincidence, as above, so below. And thanks to Heather for the video and pointing this out. She found out that the name Steve, the word Steve, is Greek, and literally means that which surrounds or encompasses. So it sounds like they're talking about the firmament to me. And, you know, just that's what this stuff reminds me of. And I think we'll see what the rest of the year throws at us, but I think we're shaping up for the end of the cycle. So thanks to my subscribers for watching.